All right, in this video we will be replacing the rack and pinion on this 2008 Acura TSX. All right, first step is we're going to remove this plastic cover so that we have access to the steering shaft. Oh, there's a third one up here. It's really hard to do one-handed, apparently. Whew, all right, that was harder than I thought it was going to be. All right, and with the cover removed, we now have access to the steering shaft bolt. Right there looks to be a 10mm. Before you remove the steering shaft bolt, there are two ways that you can keep the position of the steering wheel. One way that I usually do is put a ratchet strap here to the brake pedal just to keep the steering wheel straight right where it is right now. Or if you want, you can put markings on the top side of the shaft. Obviously don't mark the rod that goes down to the rack and pinion, because you're going to be replacing that and you won't have your mark anymore. So make sure you put it on the top side of the shaft connection, and then just put another mark right there lined up on the wheel, on the on the steering shaft well. Next step, remove these two 10mm bolts so that your body control module is movable. And with a small pick or a very small screwdriver, go ahead and remove this relay. You just slide it right down into here. It takes a little bit of wiggling, and then you should just be able to lift it right up. And just lay that out of your way. This opens up this tunnel a little bit more, so you can reach the lines on top of the rack and pinion. If I can get the flashlight on it right. Those two big lines right here and right there are the two we're going to be removing. The one in the back is a 17 and the one in the front is a 19mm. All right, next thing you're going to do is to remove the 3 bolts. Well, there's technically only 2 bolts holding it, but there's a bracket that you also have to remove. So there's 3 bolts you're going to have to take out. That one right there is a 17, and the one right next to it is a 14. And in honor of working smarter, not harder, I recommend having a couple extensions, and you can reach all 3 bolts right up here from the top. All right, next step is to remove the front tires. And on the passenger side, you'll see this little bracket holding onto the rack and pinion, held on with 2 14mm bolts. Remove that and remove the bracket. After you remove the bracket, go ahead and disconnect the outer tie rods from the steering knuckles. Quick tip, those 14mm bolts can be reached from up top by connecting a couple extensions together, snaking it down, grabbing it from the bottom, and putting it onto the bolt heads. It'll make it much easier for removing and installation. With those 2 14mm bolts out of the way, go ahead and remove this 10mm, and right on top you'll see this 10mm right there. And a quick trick to getting these is to go through on top of the CV axle, the little valley that's opened up right there, and you'll have plenty of room in here for wrist manipulation, and it should be an easy job. Alright, and with those 2 10mm bolts removed, all you're going to do is you're going to push that bracket up, because it's actually connected to a line right here. You're just going to push that whole bracket as one piece up, and this heat shield you're just going to push that out of the way just to give you a little bit more room to get this end of the rack and pinion out, of the rack out. And as you can see, if you've followed the steps up to this point, your rack is no longer a part of your car. It is unbolted. Alright, next step is to go ahead and remove these two hydraulic lines from the rack. They are 12 millimeters. And now that you have those lines removed, you can go ahead and get to this 12 millimeter bolt. And on the opposing side, there's another 12 millimeter bolt. It's actually easier to get from up top though. Alright, and from the top, you can see the last bolt right there. Alright, and with those two bolts removed, go ahead with a small flathead screwdriver and you can pry this top piece. If you can, be careful of the O-ring inside of there. It never hurts to have a spare. And with that piece out, there should be nothing else stopping you from removing Hey. Alright, that was a battle, but we got it out.